Yo, update announcement, let's talk about it. So Gremory restricted to 1 in Unlimited. Noah is now 10 play points. Nicholas is now 5 play point 5-4. That only subtracts 3 from its own. Robomi on Enhance 8. And then Valse got rebuffed to a 2-2 stat line, and Purson got buffed to Accelerate 8. Of course, the cards that got nerfed will give you a Val bonus, and these two will not because they got buffed. So I'm going to talk about their reasoning for their nerfs and changes, and then my thoughts about it. So, the Gremory limit is because Midrange Shadowcraft had a 58.7% win rate and a 20.5% usage rate. That is ridiculous. Okay, that's nuts. What? And then in rotation, Puppet had 57.8. That's not much better. And 19.8% usage rate. That is ridiculous also. Maybe even more so because it's rotation. And so that's why they changed Nicholas and Noah. Okay, so let's take a look at their first win rates here in Unlimited. 52.2% across all decks in Unlimited. And 52.8% across all decks in rotation. So Unlimited is up from last month and rotation is down from last month, normalizing closer to about 52.5%. It's still not great. Of course, you'd want to get that down to 50, so hopefully that'll change in Omen of the 10, but, you know, we will never know until it comes out. But goodness, I hope so, because that's quite high, actually. Yeah. Alright, so let's talk about my thoughts on this, though. So the Gremory limit is obviously extremely justified. Ever since it got introduced, I mean, Midrange Shadowcraft was already really good at Unlimited, and then Gremory came along and then just pushed it way over the edge, as you can see from the stats. So, definitely justified limit there. Limiting Gremory instead of Ector, I totally get it. Because I think people, maybe not anymore, but people definitely did have some, you know, fondness for Ector. Nostalgia, if you will. I'm sure people who play Unlimited more regularly than me don't have that anymore. So, like, the charm is worn off. But, you know, Gremory is kind of just like running 3 more Ectors in your mid-range Shadowcraft deck in a lot of ways. And limiting it is totally justified for that reason, just because Ector is really good. I mean, Ector is probably stronger than Gremory. Let's be real. But I think, you know, with Ector, it's more emblematic of the deck in general, while Gremory is just kind of pushing it. It's kind of funny to me, though, because in Omen of the 10, they're printing sort of 2 more Ector-esque effects with the Shadowcraft Silver spell that was recently revealed, as well as Gildanalise, the neutral Omen of Craving. But I don't think those are going to be as big of a problem, just because they're, I think, still pretty far from power level from Gremory and Ector themselves. So it shouldn't be a huge deal, because they're, you know, more expensive and less synergistic than Gremory and Ector are. So hopefully this limit keeps mid-range Shadowcraft in line a little bit, because it's true that it is ridiculous. And not just the stats that say that, but of course that's, you know, the most compelling evidence. But, you know, I think everyone's own experience on ladder, as well as my experience watching Unlimited tournaments and casting Unlimited tournaments, everybody brought mid-range Shadowcraft, or almost everybody did, in the last SEAO Unlimited Cup that I casted. And, you know, that just goes to show how strong it is, and this is, you know, absolutely justified. The Puppet nerfs, on the other hand, are a little more, you know, divisive for me personally. I think they're justified. I think that Noah was pretty powerful as a 9 play point finisher, and he'll probably still be used as a 10 play point finisher. But I don't think Noah was necessarily the problem with Puppet Portalcraft. Now, not to say that the nerf isn't a good nerf or that it isn't justified. I do think that it is justified, but if I had to choose between Noah and some other of the problematic Puppet cards, which I'll talk about in a bit, I would have definitely chosen those other cards over Noah. And Nicholas is, I think, a bit more justified than the Noah nerf to me, because Nicholas is amazing. Let's be real. One time I said that I don't think Nicholas is that good. I was wrong. I was so wrong. I was the most wrong a man has ever been in the history of the world. Okay, Nicholas is insane. Or at least he was. Now, the 5.54 nerf here pushes it to really compete in the 5-drop slot with a lot of other Puppet Portalcraft cards that are pretty essential to the deck. So I think it's a lot more impactful of a nerf than you might think on first glance, just because it really makes the deck building process for Puppet Portalcraft quite a bit harder. Like, you have to decide between Nicholas, Spinaria, Heartless Battle, Kukuru. The 5-drop slot's getting really crowded, and the 4-drop slot is now quite empty. I think what you might be able to do is just run the new Lashena Omen of Destruction in that slot over Nicholas now. But we'll have to see. It just makes the curve a little bit more awkward and less, you know, exceedingly good, I guess. And of course, the Enhance, now only reducing its own Rubumi instead of all Rubumis that you own, means that you can't do the whole turn 7 Nicholas, turn 8 Nicholas shenanigans and getting 2 5/5s for free. Thank God. So, I think for sure Nicholas is way more of a justified nerf than Noah is. Now, I definitely would have liked to see some other Portalcraft cards nerfed over Noah in particular. I think Silva is far greater of a problem, both just in its design in general and also the effect it has on the game. I think Silva, it really ups the draw RNG of the deck to an unreasonable level in a lot of ways. I just think it's too good. I really just think it's too good. So, if I had to choose between Noah and Silva, I think Silva was far more of a problem. And personally for me, I also just don't like Lakoko. I think Lakoko is kind of an anti-fun card. Way too efficient of a transform. Like, you compare Lily, for example, Crystalia Lily, to Lakoko, and it's just upsetting. So, I would have loved to see those cards nerfed over Noah. I think the Nicholas nerf is very good. I think the Noah nerf is fine. But again, Silva, Lakoko, definitely nerfs I would have liked to see over those. Silva in particular. Silva definitely in particular. Now, about the buffs, I think the Valse buff, it's kind of funny because it happened like 2 months after it got nerfed. Might be the fastest revert we've seen. And it's funny to me that they're rebuffing Valse now after What If Brambles is rotating, but I think the justification of, you know, trying to up Sword's play rate is a fair one. And in particular, I think buffing it to a 2/2 again makes it particularly resilient more again against puppets now, whereas the 1 defense stat line was just pitiful before. So I think they're printing a lot of cards to try and counter puppets, and, you know, for good reason. I mean, have you seen the stats? 57.8% win rate, are you kidding me? Now, whether or not Valse is now, you know, good enough again to be run in mid-range Shadowcraft is yet to be seen, just because Omen of the Ten's on the way as well, and I think Swordcraft got quite a few good tools to support themselves. In particular, the 2 play point loot spell is really quite good. And we'll have to see how the loot package in general works out for Swordcraft. But, you know, if you're trying to get Valse to be played more, this is absolutely crucial in a puppet meta. And regarding the Purson buff here, I actually really like the design direction of this. Just because buffing unused legendaries is actually a really cool thing of them to do that they really don't have to do. Like the Corpse Lord of Woe buff, for example. People were so upset when they opened Corpse Lord of Woe before, and now you're happy to get it. I mean, maybe not now because Wonderland Dreams is rotating out, but you know what I mean, right? Whether or not this is gonna make Purson playable is something I highly doubt, especially since Spawn of the Abyss is now rotating, and Blood doesn't have the late game followers that Dragon has, for example, that can support this Jabberwock type effect. But I think if Bloodcraft gets one more big storm damagey thing, or ambush damagey thing, then Purson can actually be like a viable meme. Not sure if it's gonna be good, but at least a viable meme. So this buff, while I don't think is gonna make Purson, you know, particularly playable going into next expansion, it's at least nice to see. The justification for buffing Purson, though, I'm not sure if I buy completely with trying to strengthen Bloodcraft play rate, because again, I don't think people are going to be playing Purson, but you know, you never know, I guess. But overall, it's a cool thing to do, to buff a legendary like this. So those are my thoughts on the changes here, but I do want to talk about some of the other updates coming to this patch. So of course, the expansion itself is coming out, Cassiopeia and Venomfang Medusa alt leaders are coming out. New Eris story mode chapters, that's pretty cool. I'm gonna have to try and get through the Luna and Rowan ones before this comes out, so that I can get through all of it and not be behind. So hopefully next week I can do the other story modes, fingers crossed. Elite 3 added to practice mode. That's awesome, because now you can do Elite 3 on all the classes except Portalcraft, and then Portalcraft is getting Elite 2. So it's single player AI, pretty simple battles that you can do for free rupees. So if you need more packs in Omen of the 10, more rupees are available to you now. That's pretty nice. And this is my favorite quality of life update here. View cards played during a match, and view cards with the invocation effect. The invocation effect, I think, is just a nice little add because invocation's a new mechanic here, but particularly this one, view cards played during a match, that is such a good quality of life update. You guys have no idea. So if you guys are in the Hearthstone scene at all, there was a bit of a drama recently regarding a discussion on whether or not deck trackers are cheating. Because deck trackers, basically everyone on the ladder uses them in Hearthstone, but you can't use them in tournaments. Baking in a deck tracker into the game itself, I think, is really good for the players who just play on ladder, do their dailies every day, and simultaneously also really good for tournament play, because you don't have to have all this infrastructure of, you know, allowing the players to take notes or having them count on their fingers or what have you, you know? While those things have their charm, I think overall, this is a really good quality of life update just for everybody. Because this just makes the gameplay experience a lot smoother. You don't have to be constantly thinking, oh, did he play this, did he play that? But it also, in a way, makes you have to try and keep track of your time a little better regarding your turn timer. That's kind of a minor factor of it, for sure. But I do think that overall this is a lot better of a way to go about things than, you know, having to do it all from pure recall and note-taking. Especially since down the line, it could cause drama like what's happening in the Hearthstone scene right now. Adding this in now is just, I think, good for all parties involved. Now here's the most interesting update in this patch, other than, of course, the balance changes and the expansion itself, is an update to cards that destroy other cards and then have an effect. So for example, Erd destroys another card and then resummons it. They're now changing it so that when you destroy the card and the card isn't destroyed, the effect still procs. So the example they give here is that before, when you use Erd on Heavenly Aegis, it doesn't destroy the Aegis, so there's no copy of Aegis played. But now, the fanfare will activate, it'll try and destroy Aegis, it won't destroy Aegis, but it will still summon Aegis again. I don't think this is necessarily relevant to any meta right now, because this seems like a kind of a niche interaction, right? But I really like this change because I think it opens up design space for the future and makes that interaction a lot more fun. You know, it's not fun when you think you can do something cool and then you do it and then nothing happens. That's lame. You know what I mean? And of course you can take that to, you know, an extreme degree, but for this example I think that this is a good change just because it makes more interactions possible that weren't before that could end up having a lot of implications on the design of the game and, you know, possible plays down the line. Again, I don't think it's necessarily relevant right in this expansion necessarily, but, you know, who knows? In the future, we might have more destroy plus effects, you know? Also, reprint Erd, please. Right? Erd is one of my favorite cards in the game, so I'd love that. And that update also applies to Pluto, Dark Offering, Pact with Another God, Jabberwock, Zodiac Demon, God Bullet Golem even, and Purson. So, updating all these cards tells me that, you know, maybe they're just trying to open up the space for design and have this be an option, which is super cool. And then there's some minor changes here as well. Bale of the Gleaming Axe is now going to be Lux Glaive Bale for deep lore reasons. And yeah, that's about it. And of course, in Arena, they're going to rotate out a couple more cards, because in Arena, it's only the past 4 expansions that are available. So they're rotating out Starforge Legends, it looks like, for Take 2. Cool. Cool. Well, anyway, that's my thoughts on the balance updates and, you know, the patch in general. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Like the video if you did, don't if you didn't, subscribe for more Shadowverse content in the very near future. And of course, thank you to my wonderful patrons, patreon.com/Ignideus. If you'd like to support the channel as well, I would highly appreciate it. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.